Along with keyframe animation comes the ability to tap into expressions. Let's see a few expressions and actions and how they affect the animation. We'll keep this in mind when we compare some of the plugins that give us access to complex movement through expression controls.
So besides being able to use the keyframe graph editor as well as manipulate keyframes by changing their interpolation, we can drive expression through various parameters to even make more realistic animation. And there's a great resource, motionscript.com, which is run by Dan Eberts, that you can go to actually copy some of these expressions and paste them to certain parameters. So I'll just show you this website where you can see that he goes through an explanation of bounce versus overshoot, some very realistic movement. And over here to the side, you can actually click on a movie and get a preview for the different types of movement that you can apply to various parameters. If I scroll down, it goes over overshoot in detail, what's involved, so that we can understand the expression if we wanted to enter it by scratch. Or alternatively, you can go down to an area such as calculation overshoot, and we can just copy the expression and paste it to various parameters. And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm going to take this expression, I'm going to highlight it, and hit Command C on my Mac or Control C on the PC just to have that pasted to memory. I want to exit out of MotionScript and head into my After Effects Chapter 5.2 composition. I would like to apply this overshoot to the green bag. So just to see the green bag animation, I'm going to solo it. You can see here that eventually it animates on screen. So I want to keep this timing, and by default, the overshoot's going to happen right away inside your project. So let's first of all hit U to reveal its keyframes. And one thing we can do is just move the layer so that it starts right where my current time indicator is at 1 second. So that's where the overshoot will start. I'm going to just drag my layer to the current time indicator. Great. We can ignore these keyframes for the time being, but we're going to need them here in a second. So to apply the expression, I'm going to, like any other expression, I'm going to option click the stopwatch here and hit Command V, and all that code gets copied inside. And if I close this out, voila, the expression's been written. But the bounce is nothing similar to the animation that we had, so it's not preserving those keyframes. What I need to do is make a small change to this expression, and that is to plug in new start and end values, the ones that you see here. So first of all, I'm going to head over to my first keyframe, and I'm holding down the Shift key so I snap to it. In order to see what those values are, I'm going to disable the expression by clicking on this little equal sign here. I can see that it's 984 by 1489, and I want to plug that into the start value of this expression. So I'm just going to go in here, be very careful, type in 984. I'm going to then highlight the 0 for the Y and make that 1489. I'll then click on a gray area to close that out. The expression has been updated. Let me move to the next keyframe. I can hit the K key to do that, and a little shortcut to move forward to keyframe, J to move back. And then I'll disable the expression again, which has been turned on after we made that change, to see the original values, which were 984 by 564. So here I'll type in 984, followed by, for Y, 564. And now that we've entered those two values, let's take a look and see what we have. So I'm going to move my playhead to the point in time that we moved the layer to, which is right around the original animation was starting. And voila, we've got this kind of cool, realistic bounce taking place and enabled with motion blur. Now, just to keep in mind, this expression is ignoring these keyframes. So you could, right now, I'm going to actually just move to this place in time, take these keyframes and delete them. And the expression is still going to perform the overshoot, which is great. And I can take this expression and then copy it onto other layers, or even parent other layers to this so that it has another realistic bounce. Other things we can do is kind of control the frequency and decay here, which is kind of how much it's bouncing. So let me just alter a few changes here. I'm going to enter a larger frequency of something like 20 and have the decay number set to 8. Let's just take a look at what we see. So it's a much more aggressive bounce, followed by it stops a lot quicker. Let me just make another change here. I'll make the frequency a much lower number, something like 1. Actually, let's do that also with the decay, just to see an alternative. There, where now it's bouncing all over the place. Much more aggressive and takes longer to stop. So you can play with these numbers as you see fit, kind of like a slider dial inside of After Effects. And all we have to really do is go to a website, motionscript.com, take the overshoot behavior and paste it on option, click to add an expression to a parameter such as position, and then start to play around with the frequency and decay dials so that we have this set. Keep in mind that now that we have this, we can save this for later use. I'm going to change my frequency back to 3 and the decay to 4, close out that expression, and give this one more preview just for our lovely little bounce. So keep in mind, expressions can be extremely helpful to use for complex keyframe animation without having to go into third-party plugins just yet.